Classic cars on a classic track. The drivers love it, the fans love it, and because of that, we get an extra 20 minutes for today's race. Hopefully this place delivers as we get ready to watch round 10 of the IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Glen is easily among the most popular circuits in North America. Let's dig in a little bit with our track guide. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time. Well, we said that this is a favorite among drivers, and a lot of people have showed up today, Craig, to compete.
Yeah, Joe. Well, as a tradition with IMSA Vintage, we're running the classic layout, so that means no inner loop chicane. So while this means a draft battle, it also means for both classes, the 90 is an all-important corner. In many races here, and you can watch them back at a later time on our YouTube, so many moments have happened at the end of that long straight. From Ian Haycock trying to make it free wide to the ever-present multi-class chaos. And speaking of multi-class, I feel it was important to talk about that at this track. Because of those late apex corners, Watkins Glen has a nature where the prototypes are faster under braking than GT cars. So expect to see what will look like a lot of late moves from the GTPs today, as the Nissans will be able to carry much more speed into the apex of corners like the chute and at the heel. Fair warning, once that door is closed, it's closed. Speed difference around here will catch anyone out if you're not prepared. Turn 10, fantastic examples. The Nissans, they will be taking it flat, but the GTOs, they need to point their nose, which will require a tap of the brakes. But thankfully, there is quite a bit of tarmac runoff around here nowadays. But Joe, as it's a 60-minute race today, I can see some drivers forced to take that dreaded drive-through. But if you're lucky, maybe, just maybe, you can stretch that fuel tank and do a nose stopper.
Interesting. So we'll watch out for that, and definitely watching for those black flags as well. But first, let's take a look at the championship, because we're starting to count drop weeks, so that changes the complexion slightly. Valenteus with essentially a perfect score over Dustin Hiroder by about 22 points, with Aitor Sintez Galindo kind of bringing up behind them in third. He's got Javier Del Olmo behind him by a single point, keeping him on his toes. I anticipate that battle between the two of them will carry on as it has for a couple seasons now. Seamus Power not that far behind in fifth, making it some fun for that battle for P3. But mostly everybody's trying to see if they can do anything about Valenteus and the domination that he has been putting on this season. But that's the GTP standings. Craig, why don't you run us down the GTOs?
Yeah, just a point on that. Everyone have a bit of a breather there, as Valenteus is in the GTOs today. He's not in the top 10, though, of the GTOs. You take those drop weeks into consideration, Mickey Friesen's 34-point lead is now just 4 points over Jan van Hixie. Key thing, though, is that Mickey has drop weeks left to use. Johan hasn't really got any drop weeks left, so that's a very interesting battle at the top. But that also means this rest of the battle for the rest of the podium, look how close it is between Schuster, Lumberg, Kundelis as well. All three of them could have a shot there to take that third position in the championship. And then the age-old status of the GTOs, so close down the order. Doug Cloud and Trengrade, you can see it there. Jamie Hamill-Smith and Emilio Ciccari also just there close. Corbin Pollock also tied with Ciccari as well in 11th, so very close at the bottom. But those top three positions are very hot for Trot.
It's going to be fun to watch to see how it closes out the season. Now, that is coming soon. If we take a look at the race details, 10 out of 13. Remember, we got an extra week this time. A 60-minute race, as we said. So this is their endurance version. But there is no requirement to pit stop if you can stretch the fuel. So watch out for those GTOs. No spare car if you wind up damaging it. The walls are very close here. It is easy to destroy your vehicle. So that is going to be important. And of course, on top of that, it says open setup. But this community is very open themselves on sharing that information, so you can expect a lot of drivers to be swapping that data around to try and help and bring newcomers in. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. Keep your eyes peeled because we could see someone down for an extra run through pit lane. You cannot serve that black flag during your pit stop, or else you will be given additional time stationary. So lots of things to keep your eyes on throughout this 60-minute event. Most of the GTPs have managed to put a time in. Del Olmo currently put himself into fourth, as her rotors actually are quickest up in first. Meanwhile, down at those GTOs, though, Craig, Ove Trangarade currently quickest. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually interesting seeing everybody, though, when we look at these GTOs, because we know Mickey Friesen, Johan van Hixie, they are the close drivers out there. So we're just seeing Ferran Grau doing another lap in the GTP, the last of the GTP rider. But Mickey Friesen and Van Hixie's 5th and 7th, respectively. Andreas Schuster, champion, 7th. It's very crazy at the top there. Benjamin Roberts just taking the lead away. Noah Lumberg is well now taking P2 away from Ove Trangarade. So Ove, once again, putting in a very good lap as we're watching Ferran Grau come around and up into the toe. But this GTO field, it almost feels like they're just testing the waters, and one GTO driver not setting a lap out there is Valenteus.
Yeah, I get the feeling, since he's not competing in the class that, he's up for a championship, he's probably looking to have some fun here, so might be trying to climb up as high as he can go. Ferran is close on whether or not he's going to improve. He's got a 127.3 sitting in 10th right now. Usually he's a little faster than that, so I'm a bit surprised to see him not showing much better on this lap as he comes around across the line. Is this going to be an improvement? Yes, but only by about 0.06 of a second. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, it was close in that part of the field. He jumps up to 7th. I didn't look at the gaps. I have multiple drivers less than a 10th apart in that clutch.
Yeah, I'm just looking right now. I see just I see 3 gaps in the whole of the GTP qualifying that are over a 10th, and the last one is 7 tenths. So factor that one out. The battles that are a 10th gap is Imeraki and Azor Sintez Galindo, and then the other one is down at the bottom with Fabian Jungbuff a 10th ahead of Brendan Lim. Everybody else, just look at this as well. We're talking about it. Seamus Power is 1,000th faster than Lars Olsen. Jacob Reed is 2,000ths faster. Slower, sorry, than Lars Olsen. They're so close up there in the GTPs.
This is going to be fun, no doubt. I asked whether or not it would deliver on the action, and it's looking like it will, as it's time to go through our qualifying order. Dustin Hiroter puts it on pole with Ardo Iamaki starting in second next to him. Aitor Sintez Galindo in P3 is flanked by Javier Del Olmo. Those two have raced against each other plenty over the years. Matthias Hovdal returns. He likes these low downforce tracks. He's going to be starting from 5th. Henning Schwebig is going to be starting in at 6th, as Ferran Grau will be P7. You've got Seamus Power P8. He's got Lars Stolzen on the inside of the next row in 9th. Jacob Reed going to be starting at P10. After that, Cal Young starts in 11th today. It'll be Fabian Jungbluth to his outside in the 12th position, and Brendan Lim is going to be starting in 13th. Then it is Emerson Gaudin in P14. Ivan Ayuso will be in P15, and Dylan Freckleton starting from last on the field in the split field of our 16 GTPs.
When you look at the GTOs, and it's an unfamiliar name at the top with Benjamin Roberts taking the lead away from Noel Lundberg, who's in P2, and then Ove Trengerade will be third, with JD Rodriguez back in the GTOs in fourth. And then it's Mickey Friesen fifth, Johan Van Hixie sixth, and Andreas Schuster in seventh. The top three all there in the middle of the field. Michael Yankee in eighth, and Martin Krajcik will be ninth. Doug Cloud will round out the first page in 10th. And that will lead us to Josh Brain in 11th. Henry Chairman will be 12th. Roman Bello will take on Lucky 13, and Ian Haycock will be looking to make some moves in 14th. Rien van Vuren will be 15th, the last of the time qualifiers. And as I mentioned, Andreas Valenteus 16th, not setting a time. Just to let you know, Joe, the last time Valenteus did this in the GTOs, he thought he could do a last of first, crushed out before he even saw the green flag. So fingers crossed for him today.
Yeah, if he makes it past there, then it's bad news for everybody else. He usually is so incredibly fast. And Roberts, Lundberg, Trengerade, they're going to be trying to make as much time as they can. Make sure he doesn't run them down as we take off on our pace lap, and will be released for 60 minutes. Hopefully drivers have practiced pit stops, have their strategy figured out, Craig, and made sure that they know how pit entry and pit exit are going to work, because each kind of have their own perils here.
They do, and also, last time I checked, they don't even have a pit limiter button like modern day cars. They're going to have to do this NASCAR style. We're at a NASCAR track today, really. They're going to have to do that real NASCAR style, and they're not going to get the chance like they do in the real-world NASCAR, where they get to go down the pit lane and work out their speeds, work out their RPMs, and see where their grid is. They're going to have to work that out as they go, but with 16 cars in each class, that shouldn't make it too hard to work out where your grid stall is, because there shouldn't be any overlap. So if you're Valenteus, you're going to be the first man to get into a box. If you're Dustin Hiroda, you're going to have to travel the whole of the pit lane just to get to your box.
Exactly. And yeah, you're right. That was one of the things when they first released these cars for a couple years. They did have the pit limiter here in the sim. But since a lot of the fans of these vintage cars tend to try and make things as close to the real ones as possible, a lot of them pointed out that the real cars didn't have limiters. In fact, I don't think they had pit speed limits by this point in IMSA. So they quickly took those away. And so now the drivers, when they have these endurance rounds, they have to pay very close attention, or else you can get a black flag and wind up having to serve that. And every second is going to count. As we've often have seen, Craig, you cannot waste a tenth of a second out here if you want to win.
No, you cannot waste any time out here, and that's going to be also crucial, especially in these cards here. The cheese blocks, the refrigerators, use your own description of these GTOs. Taking the formation lap around the chute, going to be one of the crucial corners when it comes to multi-class traffic. Also crucial corners when it just comes to standard racing, just with that camber and the speed differences, and they'll go up the hill. It's really tough on these cars just to get it pointed, to turn it in with that four-wheel drive. So the key for them here today is to save the fuel on that back straight, and then just try to race as hard as they can here. Maybe a little bit of fuel saving there, but it could happen at a later date. Up the hill here, it's going to be very crucial. Do not be surprised, Joe, if you see anyone spin up here.
Yeah, I always struggle with that turn 9 coming around onto the main course once again. It is difficult, so it should be a real action spot. But right now, the pace car is getting ready to release Hiroda and Iamaki up at the front row. One more turn to go, and then they plunge downhill into the 90. Often has its own troubles that erupt, especially at the starts of races. They have all that paved runoff to try and escape to if need be. Pace car is in, and slowly we head towards the start. Green flag is out. Hiroda gets a very good jump, but it looks like Iamaki was caught napping as we go 3 wide for third, coming down into the 90 for the first time. Looks like the field of 16 is going to make it out the other side.
Get to the GTOs, and Trengerade did have a really good start on Noah Lundberg. Gonna lose out on that, and almost 3 wide in the middle of the field. It's the championship contenders trying to battle on. No one making any moves unless you're Andreas Schuster. Already made one move, but they're very close and going side by side. It looks like there's been a wreck already on the straight.
There has. Olsen involved in it. Schwebig coming up out of the S's, multiple cars tangling with one another. Thankfully, it's well past the tighter portions where the barriers are right up against the wall, so I think they're going to get away with it without the GTOs running into them, but still a horrible way to start this one out.
I'm just looking. Laus Olsen and Henning Sweeb, as you were saying, both have towed the car. And Meraki now is trying to make some moves early doors, and that's going to really change the complexion of this race. He's already down in 4th, and now he's going to be down into 5th as Javier Del Olmo tries to make that move around the outside. Can't make it. Mateus Hadval's now going to try and make this free wide going up into turn 9, and Arto decides against it. He'll fight that back, though. He can't make it. This is going to be a really good side-by-side battle. Can Hadval just hold it around the outside, get a little bit of the slipstream? We'll have that more runoff to use. Arto trying to use everything he can. Comes down into turn 11. Can't hold it. Not the good start there, but this field is already split due to that wreck.
So that means that Sintez Galindo will lead over Heroder with Farron Grau in 3rd, and Ian Maki sent all the way down to 6th at the start of this race. He's got some serious work, but he's got a longer race to try and do it. And Dustin's got a run here. Now, what are we going to see? Will there be any sort of fuel saving, or is he going to try and swap back and forth with Sintez Galindo? He's going to try and swap back and forth as he goes down the inside, and our new leader is the number 8.
Last time we had a fuel-saving race here, Joe, I remember I said to I was watching Aitor, he was racing, and I came to him after the race. I said, do you want a fuel save or did you want to race? He said, I've come here to race, and that's what he's doing right here today. He wasn't doing any lifting. He was giving the space there to Heroder. He's just going to keep on fighting this, and really, they have a good opportunity to just pull ahead here. Keep Farron Grau away. I know that's his teammate, but keep him away. Van Hixie will need some help as well. These drivers, I feel, will be doing a little bit of fuel saving. There's the lift from Van Hixie. Definitely in this mid-pack, they're going to be fuel saving and also trying to catch up to the rest of the top of the field.
Yeah, they've got just a little bit of a breakaway, but not a big one. Mickey Friesen has a tiny gap. And then you get all the way up to Roberts. He's actually got almost a second to Lundberg, but nobody's really completely broken away yet. Look at them jockey on their way down into the toe of the boot, but then get back into order, although side by side out there for Krajcik as he tries to work on Mickey Friesen. Looks like he's able to get ahead of him. They come up to the braking into the heel of the boot. Now remember, they've got all this paved runoff nowadays, so they can go a little wide on the exit.
Oh, we're just going to have a quick replay of the start of the race. This is Henning Sweeb. Now, don't tell me they're trying to make it free wide, but he does get a good run at the S's here, and he just loses it on his own. I don't think
it looked like there was help.
Do you think there was help? It looked like from that angle, Olsen. It looked like, yeah, with it a hit with Olsen. Thankfully, there wasn't as many cars as it looked like from that original camera. However, it has taken out 3 drivers, and you've got to feel, especially Brendan Lim, what damage does he have?
And Hixie, in the meantime, is still sitting sandwiched between Schuster and Friesen. So must have actually lost. They were racing with Krajcik. Yeah, he's suddenly way back there. So I'm not sure if he got a slowdown or what, but he's something like 2 or 3 seconds behind. Is down to the inside. It looks like Mickey Friesen is going to defend. Jorm is going to try and go the long way around, coming up into the braking. We watch on board with Schuster, but swinging across. Jorm Van Hixie moves into P5.
And one thing that's interesting as you see this, that little ridge, it really is something that actually affects these GTOs more than any other car on the surface, just because that little dip as they start to go, as you see Friesen now looking for that move onto Schuster, that dip going out of the backstreet into the outer loop can affect each driver. So there really is only one preferred line to take the outer loop. But if you try to make those moves like these drivers will look to do at early doors, it's very tough out there. I can also report Michael Yankee unfortunately had a moment at the 90. He has towed. It gave Doug Cloud a little bit of damage, but Aitor right now on the back of Heroder, they still got a couple more laps until they hit the traffic.
Look who is behind them. Farron Grau, who jumped up to 7th at the end of qualifying, has already climbed his way to P3. We know Farron and Aitor, teammates, often like to work together. So what's this going to look like when they catch up to Hiroda? It's 2 versus 1.
Let's go and let's look what happened to Yankee there. It looks like that's Josh Brain. Think he just gets a run and thinks he can make the move here. He goes for late braking. I think he's outbraked himself. Yeah, you can just see a little bit there. Outbraked himself. A small tap there from Doug. Michael just went around. Doug had nowhere to go. He was a passenger. Bit of side damage. He doesn't have any sort of mechanical black flag. So he's okay at the moment. But this is Matej Hadval still pushing Javier Del Olmo. And to be fair, for another 3 weeks, Del Olmo is still the champion. And he's still putting on a championship performance.
Yamaki at the back of, well, not quite the back. I guess he does still have Jacob Reed in behind him, but sitting a little farther down than he probably wants in this little group. Being led by Hovdal, like you mentioned, and he tends to try and trim out the car significantly. I imagine he is going to be quite tough to pass, considering the top-end speed we're expecting out of that purple and white machine.
Could be, but always remember the S's could catch a driver out. You can see he's had to go on the deep end. Del Olmo getting a lot of speed. Going to try it around the outside, and I don't think Hadval's going to even contend it. That's a really good move regardless, though, from Del Olmo to take it around the outside and hold it around the outside. That is one to keep an eye on, because now the drivers know he can do that this early. When it comes to another 50 minutes, he may still try that again. They're going to have to be prepared for that move. I think he just showed his hand a little bit too early.
A little surprised that the 6 was passed so easily. So apparently Del Olmo also has a very fast car in a straight line. That moves him up to 4th now. Hovdal getting very close, coming out from the heel of the boot. Yamaki spies a chance, tries to cut back underneath, coming through turn 9, but parking it on the apex. Matthias will deny him.
Yeah, tough there for Imamaki to make that move. Turn 9 is such a horrible corner, regardless of the cars, because you just want to get on that throttle so early, you're going to have to be careful. And you can just see now you get that run out of turn 9 into turn 10, into 11. Really helps you, but this is what we were talking about to start the race here. That you get this at the 90, you get the good run like Ferenc Grau's doing, and maybe you can just look for a move. Work with your teammate, which is Aitor Sintet Galindo, but Ferenc Grau has had a pretty good mid-season here. He really has started to put in some pace, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would be contesting for a victory again today.
Well, pull out your favorite Joker gif, because here we go. They are now hitting the back of the traffic for the first time, and it's starting to get a little frantic early on as they have not hardly separated because of the slipstream. They're having to really try and pick and choose their way around, and the first one getting there, Dustin Hiroda, is almost slaloming between them.
Yeah, I know the ski season's just started already in Europe, but I don't think they want to be doing that around here at the moment. And Hiroda having to go on the defense, and I thought he was almost going to make a send into the toe. Thought twice about it. Sintet Galindo goes wide. That's going to allow his teammate Grau to try and make that move, and I don't think Aitor's going to compete this. No, he pulls back. He allows Ferenc Grau to take that, so now it's still the same looking cars, but they have a little tint of paint that's different, but it's Ferenc Grau who's now going to have to fight on Dustin Hiroda. What has he got? Because in a second time, here comes the championship contenders in the GTOs.
So another little trio of the GTOs here. As Hiroda is able to get to the inside, this is going to be close for Grau. He's able to make it past, but Sintet Galindo is the one left standing, unfortunately, and he is going to have to bide some time and even make a little bit of a sketchy move to try and follow them through. Look at them swinging around the outside, up through the S's here. This is actually a pretty decent run to try and catch up to Dustin Hiroda, who looks like he lost a little bit of speed, but it's not quite a long enough straightaway, or is it? Ferenc Grau up to the lead. Oh, but he gets balked coming through. Thankfully, Dustin was heads up, and he also lifted, not wanting to get in the back of the 19.
Yeah, I honestly thought for a moment Ferenc actually boxed himself in there. He did not. Was able to make that. Well, that was happening over Trengere and JD Rodriguez in the GTOs. Trying to use that pick there with those GTPs to make a move. And now you've got the traffic. This is the traffic we were expecting. Hadval now stuck between Trengere and JD Rodriguez. Iraqi is well just there. He's getting stuck as well. This is the traffic give him and traffic take him away. Emerson Golden has now towed in the GTPs as well. So we're down to 13 drivers out there for the GTPs. But just look as they go around. What a camera shot that is. Drivers just trying to find whatever line they can.
It's a real traffic jam, and this is where things narrow up on the track as well. It'll open up coming out of turn 10 at the very least. Oh, it says we get a little bit of action between Ove Trangrade and Rodriguez trying to spy an opening, but cars are zipping past in that GTP class down towards the 90. Will he try and use it as a pick? JD could, but no. And Ove also doesn't defend coming into there. That was a little brave.
I wonder if they're just being prepared for the worst, but of course the worst is over because the GTPs have gone by now, and this is something we were talking about off the broadcast beforehand. This split today, so we've got 32 cars in this split, 31 in the second split, and you've got the field that's less cars. If we had a full split of 50 cars here today, you're looking at not passing 16 GTOs, you're looking at passing 25, almost 30 GTOs. Having 16 is a real blessing for these GTPs today because they know on the first couple go-arounds it's going to be one lap of GTOs and that's it. Whereas if it was a full split, you're looking at a couple goes around them.
Watching on board with Rodriguez still. Trangrade able to pull a little bit of a gap. He holds the inside line coming down in through the toe of the boot. Lundberg in front of him. They've caught up to P2, but that's good news on that front, but it's bad news because Ben Roberts is ahead by 2.5 seconds. He had a much better time in that traffic.
Yeah, but I want to keep an eye on those lap times, Joe, because is Ben going hell-bent for leather? Is the rest of the field fuel saving? Looking at the times, I know they got affected by GTP traffic. It feels like it's Rodriguez just had a twitch there. It feels like these GTOs, they know the game plan. It looks like they're going to try and fuel save, and dare I say it, they may go for a no-stopper, and dare I say it, Dustin Hirota, Cool Cup Collective, he's going to try and go for the lead. Again.
He lost it briefly, but he's holding on to the back of Grouse. And Tez Galindo able to catch back up after he lost touch with them just a bit ago. They've run away from Del Olmo by about 4 seconds, so they're kind of on their own at this stage. 5 seconds, 4 seconds can definitely be eaten away by the traffic, but they're not going to have that for a few more laps until they get to the back of that GTO field once again. And coming up out of the toe of the boots, it does look like Sintez Galindo is catching Hirota more than Hirota is catching Grau.
Would not surprise me. And also, Ove Trangrade looked like he was catching Lundberg and just put his nose there just on the outside to say, I want to look for that move sometime. But again, I mentioned that ridge. That can be very treacherous to make a late move going into the outer loop on the inside there. Thought twice about it, and he doesn't really need to make it because here is Lundberg, Trangrade, Rodriguez, Van Hixie all together. Vantes and Schuster lost a little bit of time behind them as they were fighting, but you can feel that they will catch back up to this. These four, they're not looking to make aggressive moves. They're looking to just play it safe. And there's the Ferraman. That's not a Ferrari.
Ferraman.
Yeah, yeah.
So we saw this paint scheme on the Lotus 79s last week, or it was a week before, or something to that effect. And we were very, very amused. It's a very cute little homage to Ferrari with the black on it, but obviously a big Ramen fan. And Noel Lundberg going to see if that can give enough speed to catch up to Roberts while also keeping away from Trangrade, who's hovering around the back. What about Del Olmo? Looks like he just got passed by Hovdal. Remember, Javier was sitting in fourth. Matthias now jumping up one more spot. Does he have the speed to try and catch back up to the top three?
He might have the speed, but it's 4 seconds. Remember, we talked about it. Because of that incident at the start of the race, a lot of this field got spread out a bit just due to what happened. The top four are 5 seconds ahead of everybody, and it's just happening now that they're able to start to try and fight. But again, they'll have another lap without it. Why goes Adval? Can't use all that space as you can there. Dustin Hirota now trying to go. That looked like he had a little bit of damage. It may have just been my eyes. He did not look clean on the rear there. Nope, just my eyes. But that would be a big issue if you get any sort of aero damage around here because of the top speed on that back straight.
Yeah, that's a good point. They need a clean car, and we saw so many having to avoid the wreck that was happening. So some might be suffering from that as well. But these top three, not much between them, although it is very early in the race at this stage. Only 15 minutes in, so about a quarter of the way through. And what are their pit stop strategies going to look like? I wonder how the traffic will play into that as well, Craig. Is it going to be too jumbled up for it to offer a chance to get out of it later on, or is that going to allow drivers to maybe pull a blinder on their competitors, pulling off and try to avoid getting stuck in the Audis?
Well, most drivers won't have a track map on their screen. They won't have any software that has a track map. If they saw a track map, they would see two bunched up groups, and then they would have to start thinking, would I get held up in those groups, or would I be able to make them through easily? So they're going to have to play it by ear how closely we get. But remember, if these GTPs take an early pit stop, they could possibly take fresh tires. The later pit stoppers probably won't have the ability, even though it's a free pit stop, they may be on less fuel, and it just plays into that consideration. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're someone like, not a Hiroda, but like someone like Imeraki, who is stuck behind drivers, take a fuel stop early to try and make a jump. As we see Doug Cloud on board, thankfully not getting hammered too much after that early wreck, but in front of his car looks very crunched in on the left-hand side, but he's able to hold with Ian Haycox. And Ian, though it's going to be tough around here, he might make the move, but Doug, the ever stalwart defense, unfortunately had nothing there for him. I said that, and he almost went into the side of it.
Well, you could really see that lip that you were talking about as they enter into the carousel as the car bounded around. I wonder if that didn't help the situation. He tries to show himself coming down to the apex early in the chute, but it doesn't look like Ian is going to flinch either. Doug Cloud coming and getting past now, but is still in a group. Maybe actually this is going to be for the better, because he could save a little bit of fuel riding in behind that bright green 31.
He might be able to, and it'll be interesting to see what his lap times are, because last lap he was at 45 flat, and the other lap, that was Josh Brain. I think Josh Brain just had a connection drop there and just appeared out of nowhere. And in fact, yeah, no idea where he's gone. I think he's having some connection issues out there as JJ Rodriguez. He's not having connection issues out there, but he's trying to connect. And I will say, I do love this livery, and I'm just going to say, though, Joe, I think this would ban him from buying a Ferrari in the real world. Just saying. If you do something like this, I know other people that have, this would get you on the ban list. So I don't think he really minds too much.
Yeah, I think there was the infamous Nyan Cat Ferrari that raised some hackles there that got repossessed or something to that nature. Regardless, Dustin Hiroda here sitting in second is now once again in the thick of it, and he's trying to keep up with Farron Grau. He hesitates, and look at how much that allows Sintez Galindo to get on the back of him. Both of them trying to find which side is going to be open as they reach it. Thankfully, they get to the backstretch where things are a lot more simple, and Dustin has to defend as 8 Tour thinks about trying to pass, but does not execute on it.
He loves it, but one of the things with the yes is you have to commit early, and the age-old status of hold your racing line, that is ever so true when you come up those S's in the slower cars. Once you've finished the first part of the S's, the right-hander, you need to get to the left to make sure that you're indicating you're on that left side. If you don't get to the left quick enough, the GTP to come by, and then again for the next part of the S's, the right, you've got to get there quick. That is where the hesitation can come in. Frankly, Hiroda, he's caught back up to Farron Grau, a really good middle sector, but what could have been if he did not make that, and it almost was heartache there as well for Grau, hitting the wall. They've got to come to these drivers very shortly on the rear of Noah Lumberg. Could be very interested to see what happens, because last time they managed to overtake them before the 90. This time, they're going to have to meet them at the 90.
And if you notice the sort of muddy-colored car that looks sort of multicolored, that is Audrius Valenteus in this group. He's reached the top 5 already. He's still a ways off of the lead. He's got probably about 5 or 6 seconds up to Roberts, but I'd say that he is still in the hunt for potentially trying to take the win all the way off course for Farron Grau as he picked the wrong side to get around the Ferraman, but he's going to hold on to the lead as he kept his foot in it.
Had to do a little bit of a Tony Kanaan there and got onto the grass, but he was able to hold it. And really good heads up as well there from the Ferrari, as he was saying, because anything could have happened there. It's Youngblood, sorry, who's gone around in the background. We'll look at that later on. Lundberg still trying to hold on to this, and a moment like that can really cause a little bit of stress in the slower class. Thankfully, he's able to keep it going. More GTPs coming by, though, as you see JD Rodriguez now getting overtaken from Valenteus. He is now up 12 positions. Not that that's impressive because he didn't start, he started from the pits. We expect that from Valenteus, but this early, that's going to be very comfortable for him.
Yeah, that's got to be encouraging. And you were right the first time. It was Iamaki that was involved in that wreck. He had to take a tow to pit lane. It was that bad. So he is already there and taking his repairs, as I think Dylan Freckleton just emerged after what may have been a scheduled stop. I'm not entirely sure, but the 11 currently running in 17th. Excuse me, the 17 running in 11th, rather, as we follow Valenteus now maybe up into 4th. Yeah, into 4th place for him.
Well, I just got to go back on that that incident you were talking about with Meraki. Who did he hit? Championship leader Mickey Friesen, and Mickey Friesen had damage to the nose of his car, and he's already 4 seconds off this pack. This is not looking like the race for Valenteus. Looks like he's going to be playing spoiler out there, though. We're looking for a way past Ove Trengerade. Going to try and look. He'll get the assistant from Lundberg there with a bit of slipstream. Brendan Lim will try and make this late. He won't allow it, but that's a very late move from Lim. That may open the door for Valenteus to try and make this on Lundberg. It won't, but Lundberg's a little bit in the hot side right now as Valenteus up to 3rd.
A third of the way through this thing, and like you said, into P3 already. Podium position at the least if things stay as they are, and I have a feeling he'll at least be fighting Lundberg. Whether or not he can catch Roberts is something we'll have to wait and see what the pace looks like once he is clear of this group. And I say once he's clear of it like it's a sure thing. I mean, I know it's not, but let's be honest, it's Valenteus.
Yeah, Valenteus, though, has had races this season where he has been challenged to the last moment, but they've been in the GTPs, not the GTOs. Let's look at this replay. This is Arto looking for a late move, and the definition of late, this is late. You see, Mickey has to start turning in. He starts turning, and thankfully, the damage, it looks like it's already there before impact. So it looks like he managed to get off with that. It was a very hard side swipe there, but thankfully, it was almost like a self-pit maneuver there.
You're right, and I'm double checking real quick to see how long he's had that damage, if that was from the beginning or what. I'm seeing lap 6 somewhere that Mickey Friesen picked that up. Don't know what caused it quite yet, but yeah, I wonder how much that's hurting his straight line speed. So Heroder back up to the top spot. We missed a pass on Farron Grau as we were watching some of the battles there for the podium positions. And Grau's pulling off to the side as Sintez Galindo goes through. That looked coordinated.
Yeah, that looks coordinated and would not surprise me. I did actually look at what happened there with Mickey Friesen as we go looking at Noah Lundberg. Andreas Schuster had a mischief going up the S's, and Friesen had nowhere to go. That's what happened there. That's why those two are struggling in the background. But this is Noah Lundberg, and he was at one stage of the race, he was doing well in P2. He was controlling this train, but now Valenteus controls this train as he gets past Ove Trengerade. And the question isn't, will he bring the train along? The question is, can the train keep with Valenteus? If they keep with him, that's a sign that he's fuel saving. If they can't keep with him, well, say goodbye and just hope you've got a second plan.
So I went back and checked, and Heroder made a very easy pass down the back straightaway for the lead. So nothing too dramatic in that group as we continue to follow what is the battle for P2 here in the GTOs. Valenteus having recently moved himself up into that second spot. Trengerade now in P3. Lundberg getting shuffled backwards, and Rodriguez watching from behind. And they got one more. I think that's Laust Olsen having returned after taking his repairs. So he'll get 1, he'll get 2, and just about 3.
Well, I was talking about Mickey Friesen. He's come into the pits. That looks like that is a scheduled plan because of the damage. Very interesting move from Friesen. Might help him, though, with no help out there, but this is Rodriguez. He's trying to catch to the back of this pack. He's losing a bit of time to Lundberg. He's got Van Hitze right behind. maybe Van Hixie can give him a little bit of a tap, help him on the way, but slowly they'll catch up under braking. But that just goes to show one mistake out of the 90, and you're looking down the barrel of a very big deficit. He's trying to hold on, but that gap between him and Lundberg is half a second.
Okay, we've had an interesting development in our GTPs. Hovdal has caught both Grau and Sintez Galindo. They're about a second off of Heroder. So it almost seemed like they dropped back slightly, and then, of course, Hovdal managing to run up to them. I don't know if this is more fuel shenanigans that is changing the complexion or what. Meanwhile, on screen, back to the battle between 8th and 9th. And we talked about those black flags a little bit earlier. Behind this group, I think Mickey Friesen just got himself a black flag for the incident limit, and it looks like I think he's just served it.
No, it was a pit stop. It was a
no. I saw a black flag for him. I can confirm that.
Oh wow, I did not see that. I do apologize. So that's interesting to see. We're on board with Doug Cloud. That's unfortunate for Friesen, but Doug Cloud now trying to make his way. This is what we were talking about. With that damage, can he use this to his advantage? He's having fun driving around with Ian Haycock. It's a long time since we've seen Ian in the series as well. And you're right, Joe. He's using this with Ian to just stay together because he's got that damage. He can't pull ahead. But if he stays in the slipstream of a driver like Ian, he's not going to lose a lot of time here. Yes, they're 13 seconds behind the rest of the field, but there's still a battle here to have at the bottom of the top 10. It's not just for those points, but also for enjoyment for the day.
So I think we're both right about Mickey Friesen, by the way. He did take a pit stop, but he did get a black flag, and I think it was because he sped on his way into pit lane. So he had a long stop, essentially, having to serve that penalty. Matthias Hovdal, like I said, a driver who's good at these very fast, slipstreamy tracks, is now up into third, chasing on Grau, who is chasing on Heroder. Could he add to his tally of victories here in IMSA Vintage?
We'll wait and see, because 6 seconds up the road is the GTP field for another time. We'll wait and see Carl Young getting past Jacob Reed in the middle of the GTP field. But this is the important one. The top three all close together. We're almost at the halfway house of the day. It's going to be very interesting to see, can they make a move? And looking with Henry Chalman about two and a half seconds ahead, they're going to hit this traffic at turn 9 through to 10. It's going to be very tight here. There's going to be some upset faces in a few minutes' time.
Very much so. Yeah, you can see them reaching now, and there's a battle going on at the front of this group, so that's going to hold them up. Look at them stack up behind. No place to go through turn 9. Heroder dashes past as soon as he can on by Sharman, as Grau is able to get through. Wow, back and forth between them. Dustin Heroder at first was looking like he was going to dash away, but he couldn't quite keep the speed up down into the 90. They'll get past that train, but Dustin was not able to use it to his advantage. He still has Farron Grau breathing down his neck.
Still got Farron Grau breathing down his neck. This also brought Aitor back into this fight as well. So now you've got the top four all bunched up together. Wouldn't be surprised if Ian Haycock's got forced a little bit wide there. He may lose a position, but this is what we're looking at. In the middle of the track goes Dustin Heroder. He's going to make that Nissan, now a Hall of Fame car, into a truck to defend. And he does, but Mateus says, I want to go at this. Hits that little bump there on the corner. Cannot make it. He's going to have to wait. But the speed difference there from Farron Grau after Heroder had to put his car in a couple tight positions there going through the traffic. Was able to just hold on, but now Heroder, the better driver here out of the three when it comes to the shoot and the toe. He really likes this middle section, and it just now goes to show as he pulls away by 4/10.
Dustin's going to need that from what we've been witnessing. He does have another train of cars up ahead, the battle for P2, but I don't think they're going to catch it quite yet. We look off the 007 cam now at Matthias Hovdal around turn 9, back on the main course as Farron tries to keep up with Dustin Heroder. He knows he's going to need to be glued to that rear wing to take advantage of any sort of moment, such as what we just had, as we cut away and looking at this battle. But I can report that Hovdal managed to get by Heroder coming around the final corner.
Yeah, we were looking at the battle in the GTOs. They were 2x2 for about 4 corners almost, and they would manage to hold it on. But Hadval making that mistake there. Schuster into the pit, Cloud into the pits as well for the GTOs. Keep your eyes on this, but the speed different. I think Hadval just had to do a little bit of a lift, and now they realize the GTOs are just ahead of them. There's going to be some more faces here. They're not going to hit these GTOs before the braking, and Hadval realizes that Grau's going to have to try us around the outside, but they track out around the outside. Real good driving by everyone, but now they're going to have to wait for that moment. And is that a lift? No! And they've had to go around over Trengarade. That's going to compromise Trengarade. Now we see Valenteus. They're going to have to try and find their way. Grau gets the better there. He had to dictate where the GTOs go. That's not going to be the best of mindsets for a lot of people there. Usually you just let them do what they want to do. But he had to do that because otherwise he would have had to get on those brakes. And it could have been a very nasty moment.
There are some big risks being taken out there, that is for sure. Now we can come back to this great battle that deserves some attention as well. Romain Bello and Ian Haycox. Ian to the inside, and that's Henry Sharman as well, trying to see if he can become a factor in it. Wow, what a fight back from Ian Haycox down the inside through the toe of the boot. He found all the grip he could, but he doesn't have to run off of it. Bello is going to be able to try and pull ahead, but not chop down at the apex. Again, inside line goes to Ian Haycox. It switches back now, Craig, as they go through 9.
They go through 9, and maybe Sharman looking to make a move himself, but you can see Bello gets that stuck. And now Sharman's just got his nose just there where it shouldn't be, and he's just going to be able to sneak on by Ian Haycox. Ian realizing not worth fighting that in the moment. He loses the position. But a cracking bit of battle from these guys. However, Mike Kraytrick got past all of them, and now he's decided to just speed on by as Ian Haycox darts into the pit. Back with the lead, but the top battle here in the GTOs. And this is looking like a move for JD Rodriguez. He got past Lundberg before they even got to the straight. Real good there to get up into 4th.
Yep, so that's going to put Van Hixie back into 6th as well. Big moment there for Brendan Lim, putting 2 wheels off on the grass on the exit of the outer loop. But he'll live to fight another day, so will these 3. Now, unfortunately for them, they have lost touch with Trengarade and Valenteus. The battle for P2 is trimming down somewhat, and also trying to catch up to Ben Roberts. That's only to about 4.5 seconds. So have not seen Audrius really cut into that lead as much as we expected. Back up to Hovdal in P2, chasing on Farron Grau. Heroder's been shuffled back to 3rd. So can Hovdal get himself from starting 5th today to leading this race? That's what's even more impressive than that, is that Farron Grau has gone from 7th to the lead.
Yes, Grau's made it onto that 007 once again. Hovdal's here. But keep an eye on Heroda's there, Galindo, Sinten's Galindo's there, Del Olmo's there as well. Top 5 are all in this train, but Hadval's taking that lead so early, getting the S's timed perfectly this time. Is there a response from Farron Grau? He's going to try this down the inside, very late braking. They do have a touch, but it's a very minor touch, and Grau holds on to this. But if they keep fighting there, brings the pack together again. Top 5 are all going to be together right now. It's a Grau-Hadval train, a very good train at that. And they'll have to hit traffic yet again. It's not bunched up this time, but you and I both know, Joe, one car can produce all the chaos you need to make a few positions change hands.
Exactly, and that was an aggressive move back up the inside from Grau. However, I do want to point out, because as I was watching them down the backstretch, it seemed like Hovdal caught and passed him a little bit easy at the start as they're going to go around Haycox, who just finished his pit stop, and Grau lifted. He lifted at the top of the hill to let Hovdal by. I'm guessing because he knew that he was going to have the speed to challenge and was going to use that to his advantage. Oh, and now Grau is pitting in. Grau is going to take his scheduled stop.
Yeah, but he pitted in, and also, I don't know if that's a little bit of gamesmanship or not, but he didn't actually tell anybody, and he almost just slowed down on the racing line. He's totally entitled to, because that yellow line is not mandatory on iRacing, the pit entry line, so they can just take that line a little bit wider. That caught a lot of drivers out. Hadval realizing then he has the lead. He had Hiroda behind him. He had to make that send onto Josh Brain. He made it stick. But now you've got Hiroda trying to get there. Can any of these drivers make a move? It's interesting now. They know that Grau's pitted. When do either of these 4 come into the pit? you've got to feel that you've got to cover that pit stop.
Oh, here's the other question too, Craig, because I'm not as familiar on how far these GTPs can go. We're essentially 35 minutes into this race. What's the pit window look like for them? What's the longest that Hovdal could stretch this?
Well, we know from previous races around here, the GTPs, they can only just do 40 minutes. We know it's a little bit of a fuel save battle for some of these drivers when it comes to a 40-minute race. That's the limit of their tank. So you've got to look, really, they have another 4 minutes for sure. Unless you've been in constant slipstream, you may be able to make it 5. But you think it's a 90-second track here, as they'll get ready to hit the 90 very soon. You see where I get there. But it could be very interesting. That's only give you a couple of laps. And just as we say that, I reckon this could be one time by. Aitor Sintes Galindo right behind, beside Hiroda. He's got a run here on Hiroda.
And he's going to slice it up the inside of the 90 with a nice move to take P2 away. But they've lost touch with Hovdal. And this is what I was wondering, because does Hovdal want to try and stretch this out as far as he can go now that he's not caught behind Farron Grau, and see if he can drop him in the pit stops? Or will this battle catch back up to them? Hiroda versus Galindo for what is currently P2. Make that a three-way fight as they go 3 wide, coming into the outer loop, down to the inside. Del Olmo with a gutsy move, but he loses touch, and he hits both of them. He takes out Aitor Sintes Galindo, and it is going to be Dustin Hiroda who survives that one. Wow!
I honestly thought there was a tap there as well from Hiroda. I thought Hiroda was going to get collected in that. He was not. Del Olmo takes the toe. Sintes Galindo's looking like he's going to try and take the toe. He does indeed. That's a big moment in this GTP fight, because those drivers, they had a chance for the fight. You've got to respect Del Olmo there. Not sure what happened. I think he got loose, but such a weird place to get loose in the middle of the outer loop there.
That is a real shame. And yeah, I mean, credit to Hiroda. He definitely got a big thwack to the side of the car by Del Olmo getting loose. And it's a miracle he was able to carry on. I thought it was going to take out all Reed. Jacob Reed probably is happy about that, because that promotes him on the podium, but that doesn't take into account where Grau is going to wind up. So here goes Del Olmo. As far to the inside, it was a shallow line. It looked like maybe a bit of the curb maybe upset the car.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad we got that great angle there from the camera team. That's what it looked like to me. It did feel like maybe that curb, he didn't need to take the curb. There was space there, but you're in these boxes, you're on a monitor, you can't see that sometimes. You have to take what you can, and just that little curb will just upset. Remember, these are 3D curbs around here. That is such an unfortunate incident there for Del Olmo. You know Del Olmo is going to be, straight away he was saying sorry. He knew he made the mistake there, but this does mean that the GTP field has thinned a little bit. That's not a good thing for the GTOs, because the GTOs were kind of hoping the GTPs would help them save a bit of fuel here. So Lundberg's a little bit worried now if I'm Lundberg, because you're nobody helping you apart from your own GTO teammates.
All right, 20 minutes left roughly, so a third of the race still to go. And we're seeing more and more of our GTPs ducking in. We still need Hovdal, Hiroda, Reed, Bluth, and Lim to take their pit stops. Definitely thins out the fight for the top spot, but there's enough left to make this fun as we watch this fight for what is 4th place down in the GTOs. We've seen Schuster, Cloud, Brain, Kraytrick all take pit stops, but none of this trio have stopped in quite yet. They still owe us, and we expect they're going to go as long as possible.
Yeah, and you've got to feel, though, Johan Van Hixie is the car right there in the middle. With what's happened to Mickey Friesen in this race, you've got to feel he has to take advantage of this. This will definitely be a drop week for Mickey Friesen, so let's scratch out that 10 points he got. That's already been dropped. So he goes up to 14159, possibly, because he's going to be finishing 15th. That means that, you know, if you're Lundberg, if you're Van Hixie, you need to take advantage right now. Yes, you're in 5th, great position, but maybe can you get 4th? Can you get 5th? And Joe, can you get a Black Friday sale from iRacing?
You absolutely can. Make sure and head on over and sign up if you haven't gotten an account yet. Or if you do, now is the absolute best time to renew. Remember, you can resubscribe at any time, and it adds on to your already purchased time. 25% off for existing users, 50% off for a year or 2 years for new members. And Noel Loomberg, who was leading that train, no surprise, he's going to be the first to blink to take fuel.
Maybe he's coming in for a Black Friday deal as well. I know I've already took my Black Friday deal out there today. Hadval splitting up these two. Is that going to affect Rodriguez? Nope. May actually help him. Van Hixie had a mistake there. Did he miss his gear? I think he may have missed his gear. So Van Hixie going to lose that position on the track and going to lose an overall position because of that pit stop with Lundberg. But this may help him use some of this slipstream with Rodriguez to just get a little bit more fuel saved. And that will help him in the pit stop. Already cone to cone, some drivers taking 44, some drivers taking 46 seconds in the pit. So that's just that general ballpark figure. You want it to be 44 cone to cone in the pit. As we see, Lundberg was 44.7 on my timings when you go cone to cone.
And look at this. Ben Roberts has taken his pit stop and is back out. So Valenteus leads for the time being, but the number 4 is good to go to the finish from here. Looks like Jungluth just pitted, so he's in, and here the number 4 catching up to a bit of traffic. Now this is the downside to pitting before others, because now this could slow him down trying to go past Bello and Sharman in front of him.
Because remember, he's already filled up. He's filled up expecting just to keep driving himself. He can't actually go and fill up to try and make sure that he gets a little bit of traffic to help him with fuel saving. So he's got himself a heavy car, and he's going to be struggling. Ferran Grau's also got himself a heavy car. He's coming to the pit. He's made it work well. Now Matej Hadval has come into the pits at this stage. So Grau is defending Carl Young, who did an early stop, and you can see maybe those issues there that Ferran had in that battle may have hindered him. Be interested to see, can he come out in front of Hadval? This is a very crucial moment in the race.
I'm keeping an eye on Matthias as our cameras stay on the number 19 coming up towards turn 9. We're looking at a 52.9 cone to cone for Ferran Grau. So the seconds count up bit by bit. Hovdal still stationary, still refueling. They can take tires at the same time as fuel with no penalty here. It's that is permitted in old school IMSA. Hovdal is out, and it is going to be 52.3 cone to cone. That's just about half a second quicker, and it will pay off. Hovdal is ahead of Grau by about 1.6 seconds.
And it wasn't a good 90 there for Ferran Grau either. He couldn't really get the power down to make a good run up there. If he actually got a good bit of speed out of turn 1, he could have closed that gap, but the gap is 1.6. He's going to have to rely on traffic to help him. This is going to help him. Benjamin Roberts having to get by Roman Bello, and there goes Hadval around the outside of both of them. That stays half a second for Ferran Grau, but Ferran now going to get held up by both of them. There goes Ferran Grau, get past them. All that time he just gained, he's lost and almost gone into the wall. He'd had to lift off.
So he managed to get by Romain, but he's only P5, and again, he doesn't want to have to pass too many cars out there. The good news is it's 28 seconds up to Joran Van Hixie, who does still need to stop. So he's likely not going to have to pass him as Dustin Heroder reaches his stall. He finally decides he needs to take fuel. Certainly they have been stretching it out. Some of these drivers have gone much farther than what you were hinting at, Craig, because Jacob Reed still needs a pit stop. He's leading this race, and he's got almost 15 minutes left to go.
I'm going to have to eat my hat, or I'm going to have to eat something out there, because that definitely happened there in the background. You'll just see Carl Young making a move on Ferran Grau. Ferran went Tony Hawk Pro Skater out at turn 9, lost the car, had to hold it, but Dustin Heroder's come out in front of both of them. And somehow, Joe, and I'm not sure how this has happened, the early stoppers have come out the worst. That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, it seems like this has worked out much better for Hovdal. Heroder now in P2, but needs to catch up by about 2 seconds, so he's not going to get the advantage of the slipstream. He needs to try and complete the chase and catch. Well, right now we got to complete the battle between Young and Grau. Still side by side. Cal trying to pinch him down, but it's not going to work. Farron doesn't blink. He still holds on to it. Now through the laces and into the toe of the boots. And Cal Young is still ahead of Farron Grau. Not what the 19 needed. I'm a bit surprised. Well, Cal pitted 10 laps ago. He wasn't this close to them before, though, was he? I didn't think he was part of this fight.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. In fact, he's made up 7 places this race. So you can just put that down to him. And I did say it, though. Yeah, I did Valentea's trend grade in, by the way, in the GTOs. I did say it, though, earlier, didn't I? Sometimes go early, get away from the traffic. Slipstreaming does help you, but at some point, if you're getting held up, it's better to just be in clear air. Maybe this is the case. Cal Young may get a podium here. In fact, Jacob Rees is coming out the pit. He may lose his position to Cal. He is not. But that just goes to show an early pit stopper there has almost managed to jump half the field with just that move.
Valenteus now taking his fuel. Actually just got out, and I'm watching Ben Roberts. It's going to be close, actually, I think, because I think Audrius might be in the fight to chase him down. It's just going to be a little bit tight as Jorn Van Hixie, dealing with traffic while also trying to pass for position, is going to have to back down. That's for the lead, but they both still owe us a pit stop. Roberts is your leader, but remember I said it was about 4.5 seconds before the pit stop? It's now 1.3. Audrius has reeled him in.
Yeah, you've got to feel that the early stop for the GTO there did not work. So interesting how for some drivers it worked, sometimes drivers it didn't. Hit Doug Cloud. He's gripping that gear shifter and he's making sure he's always on that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the type of driver that if he was driving stick on a real world car, he would constantly be holding onto that gear stick like some other people do that I know. But he's trying to have a little fight here with Josh Brain right behind him, and he's keeping his eyes on the top of the screen because that's where his mirror is. He needs to keep an idea where Josh Brain is. He can see where Martin Krajcik is right in front of him, but the key thing is, can he make sure that Josh does not look for a move here? I wouldn't be surprised if Doug also got that damage fixed. He does indeed. No, he doesn't.
Well, coming down into the outer loop, he's still stuck behind Martin, while ahead of Josh Brain. Here's JD Rodriguez. Yoram did not pit in, so we still need him. Romain also needs to stop in the number 29, but there are precious few cars left that need fuel to make it to the finish for sure. Dustin Roeder has finished his fuel stop, and he's caught up with Hovdal. It was, didn't I say it was like 2 seconds a bit ago? So traffic must have really hurt the 6 car.
It did indeed. Hirota did a 28 flat, his fastest lap of the race, and Hadval was a 28.8. So it just goes to show what happened out there. And Jacob Reed also on his outlap last time by, so it did not help, and JD Rodriguez will come out. But it's interesting to see that some of these GTO drivers, they were all grouped up together with just the way the drivers were taking fuel. They're not bunched up anymore. It's only Valenteus 1 second behind Roberts. That's the closest battle right now in the GTOs. Just goes to show this fuel saving in this GTO field. Everyone's doing something different. Jacob Reed's doing something different. He's trying to take the overtake for P2 and maybe P1.
He does indeed wind up in third now that they've all kind of cycled through the pit stops. This has been a great race from Reed, up from 10th to a potential podium. And actually, I'd say within a shout of the win. That is Hovdal and Roeder directly in front of him. But it's all going to depend on how they manage traffic and stay out of trouble, which is easier said than done.
Well, Jacob Reed's one of the only men that's been able to take the fight to Andreas Valenteus earlier this season. He's not going to have that fight today. In fact, he's got Hadvan Hirota trying to go this, and this is Hirota having to defend Hadvan around the outside. It's going to be a pick move as well, and it's going to be Hirota. They're going to go free wide, and free wide goes Jacob Reed. They take it, and Hadvan's gone for a first all the way to third. Dustin Hirota retakes the lead. Hadvan's the fastest of the three, the last 2 laps gone. But that one moment has just cost him, and it's cost him big.
Matthias was absolutely boxed in there, had no place to go, and it cost him dearly. No longer has the track position. He's going to have to get up on it and get aggressive here to take this one back. Reed, he's got one of them. Can he do the same to Hirota? and take a shock win from 10th place in today's race. We lost a couple major players, but sometimes you got to take these opportunities when they fall in your lap.
This reminds me of that legendary 97 Spa race. If you're in it to win it, and that's what you've got to be. We've lost half the field, sadly. Well, just over half the field, just due to the incident earlier in the race. We are down to 9 drivers in the GTPs on the lead lap. Not a good turn one there for Jacob Reed, but using the slipstream, he'll be able to catch up. The only hope for Hiroda is Lars Olsen, but he's a lap car 2 seconds ahead. It is a very lonely time to be at the front of a field. But Valenteus, he's looking pretty comfortable, though, in P3.
I'm double checking to see what kind of times Jorm is running here to see if he's trying to save fuel. And it doesn't look like he's massively slower. In fact, no, he's coming in right now. So I was going to say, I was starting to wonder if he is indeed going to try and stretch it all the way to the finish. But it looks like that was not meant to be. So this will hand the lead finally back over to Ben Roberts. But for how long? And can he hold off Adrius Valenteus from denying him a win? What about Dustin Hiroda as we come back to the battle for P1? We ride on board looking over the shoulder of the number 8.
Yep, he got that overtake as we saw on the screen, did Jacob Reed. And now the question is, can he pull ahead? Jacob Reed going from 10th all the way to 1st. Going to be quite interesting to see if he can hold it. The traffic looks favorable for him. Sounds like a weather forecast there. Yeah, but the conditions are favorable. He'll be able to just get ahead of some of these drivers. He knows Van Hixie's probably coming out the pits. He'll probably get that call from his spotter. But that's what he needs to see. Van Hixie goes up to 4th. That's going to be great for the championship standings for Friesen stuck in 14th position. But this now, Valenteus, this is the best opportunity. You know he's fueled that car to fight, and fight he will do. He almost went into the back of Roberts there.
Certainly forced him to go defensive. And another intriguing thing about that battle for the GTP lead, we saw at the top right of the screen, Jacob Reed, your new fastest lap of the race. So now that he's up at the front, he's trying to take advantage of it. Seems like Jacob maybe a little more speed than he had hinted at in the qualifying. Adrius Valenteus unable to get by as we come back to Henry Sharman in the fight with 11th place Roman Bello. This is one of the best battles that we've got other than P1 here in the GTOs. He'll have the slipstream coming down the back stretch. Romain is going to hold the outside, does not try and cover off the inside, and that's because everybody knows you don't squeeze the Sharman.
No, having Olmo going around the outside as well, just getting by them. And Bello is going to have to hold on. Remember, I was just talking about Johan Van Hixie, how he's just put himself into 4th position, Joe. As we keep watching this battle, just keep on going. I'll go back to that 4th momentarily. They were side by side. Valenteus keep on battling as well. Van Hixie gets a black flag for speeding on pit exit, it looks like. Wasn't pit entry. So he has to come and take a drive-through penalty. Talk about championship implications for them.
Wow. Crucial mistake. A little bit too eager trying to leave pit lane. And that is going to send him well down the order. Bello is going to stick behind Sharman after losing that position. Although, wow, he was strong coming through turn 9. Got right to the back of him. Battle for the lead in the GTOs. Round the outside for Valenteus. No, he's not done yet, though. Roberts fights back on him. Better exit. Laust Olsen round the outside. Try not to interrupt, but he's got his own race to run. Roberts now very much under threat.
But Hadbauer and Young going around the outside of those drivers that they were going, making that outer loop free wide, just held off Valenteus. He could not track out and use all the speed. He had to get on the brake. He had to get on off the throttle. And unfortunately, that meant that move could have happened. It did not happen. And he's going to have to redo this once again. But the thing is, Roberts now knows that you have to go full help there when it comes to commitment on that braking on Valenteus. He will take that move any day of the week, and now he's aware of it. I think he's going to be worried.
We have to remember that Adrius started last of his entire class. In fact, the whole field's because of them being the slowest class. So he is about to pull a last to first here. This is going to be unbelievable if he can make this stick, but he does not have much time left. It is coming down to the last 5 minutes, last 3 laps of this race.
We've got a lead battle in the GTOs. We've got a lead battle in the GTPs. What more do you want for the final 5 minutes of a 60-minute classic here at IMSA Vintage? Watkins Glen always delivered, and once again, it has delivered. Hirota is looking, and you can see, I just can't make a move there. Just can't do a dive there. He realizes that he's having to keep it safe. He is looking and waiting. Next thing you'll have to look at is your relative. Let's look at the relative. 10 seconds up the road, it's the next GTO. It's Mickey Friesen. So are you going to get a move there? I'm not entirely sure. Valenteus is going to try to do this around the outside one more time. Almost had it last time, Joe. Not going to get it this time, though.
Ooh, he's trying, though. I got to wonder how many times is he going to attempt that outside before he does something different. Is there anything he could do in that move to make it work going the long way past Ben Roberts? Or will he have to hope for some traffic? JD Rodriguez versus Noah Lundberg side by side down into the chute, while Brennan Lim has to wait patiently from behind. Rodriguez comes out the victor and takes P4.
Yep, JD using what he can, but has he gone a bit wide there on the toe? But Lundberg can't get the throttle down to take advantage of that. It will be a late braking move here into the hill, which is not doable in these GTOs. He's going to give it a go, though. No. Puts his nose there to try and bait a mistake from Rodriguez. He may have got that mistake, though. He's in a very good position right now to look at something. But again, such a different lines you can take around turn 9. Had to think twice about it.
That's a Yuso in behind them, along with, I think, yeah, that's Del Olmo. He's repaired his car, and he's back out trying to get whatever points he can in this fight, so he doesn't have any sort of rush to get past them. He's just trying to cruise the finish. Back up to the lead between Reed and Hirota, and Dustin has retaken the top spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Reed may have had to take a slowdown penalty there. No, he didn't. He actually did lose a bit of time, lose it out there, and that also allows Adbal to come back in. We've got a three-car fight for the lead here, and Cal Young, look at him right in the background there. It may be too little too late for him, but 3 minutes ago, they're going to be starting the penultimate lap shortly, Joe. This is going to be a barn burner of a final 3 minutes.
Whew. 4 cars, all with a realistic shot at trying to take the win here. It depends on how the traffic will fall and who deals with it best. Looking to see up ahead. They don't have much of anything until they get to Charmin and Bello. And I think they're going to catch them probably at the end of this lap or somewhere around the final lap. They do have Ian Haycox here, but this should be an easy pass.
Should be easy. In fact, Ian realizes that he gets out the way. Maybe affecting Carl Young, but I think Carl is now out of this fight unless they get hit by traffic. He realizes that Hadval now looking to see what he could do, but he has to help Reed closes the gap to Hirota and then look for a move. What is Reed going to do here? Is he going to go for a late move here? He is not. He sets up because he realized just that last moment, Hirota put the car slightly closer to the middle of the road. Not an opportunity for Reed there, but now they come to that traffic you were talking about, Joe. Here's Sharman, here's Bello. They may get past both of them, but look at the lines they're taking.
Down into the toe of the boot. Oh, that was a big and aggressive move from Hirota. No wonder he knows he cannot waste any time, but it still slows him up. And Jacob Reed will get the inside coming up into the heel of the boot, but can he finish the pass is the question. It's going to be both of them accelerating as hard as they can because they know it switches around. Hirota wants to keep that inside coming into turn 9, and he does. Gets his nose just barely in behind them. Hovdal watching, wondering which way will he try and pick, and no, Dustin Hirota cannot hold back Jacob Reed as he comes up to the white flag. He is going to lead them. Big bobble from Hirota. He barely keeps it out of the wall.
Barely keeps him out the wall. I'm keeping my eyes on the GTO fight. They've been side by side for 2 quarters as well. Is there going to be a move? We just went away from Hirota, and Hirota tried to get that back. He couldn't. But this is Valenteus still looking. He tried to go around the outside 2 times, and the inside could not work for him in the chute. He's still trying to go around the outside. He can't. Is there an over-under for him? I'm not sure. We got to get back to the GTPs on the back straight, though.
It looks like Reed gets himself well cleared. Could this be what he needs, especially with those behind him fighting for just second place? Hirota, Hovdal, and Young. With Hovdal coming around the outside, he'll try to slot down in front of him. Can't quite, but he still gets it done, as it looks like Hirota now has to pass 2 cars to get the lead back. Cal Young watching, waiting, seeing if something will erupt in front of him. Reed trying to run away as best he can, but he can't seem to break it.
He can't seem to break it. Valenteus did take the lead over Robert. We'll look at that later on, but that's an important battle there. But this is all important. Last opportunity here for Hiroda or Cao Young or even Hadval. They're trying to get as close as they can. There is nowhere for them to go, Joe. They've just got 3 more corners left. Is that a mistake from Hadval? It may not look like it. Jacob Reed looks like he's got this.
Just 2 more corners to go. We said he could pull an incredible upset here. He's got a car up in front of him. He's able to go around the outside just in time. Jacob Reed started this race in 10th, but he's going to come away the winner here today at Watkins Glen.
Brilliant drive. Hadval will take the P2 away from Hiroda. Fantastic driving out there. And now you've just got to look as well. Cao Young will get that. Farron Grau comes ahead into P5. Seamus Power, never talked about him. He was in 6th. But Valenteus, last lap at the hill, around the outside he went, just like Noel Lundberg trying to go around the outside of JD Rodriguez. And they're still battling, and he almost had it. But JD Rodriguez, with the foramen, manages to just go a little bit wider to just close the door on Lundberg.
Fighting hard for 4th place, just outside of the podium positions. Ooh, and he defended late. That was kind of a late move back to the racing line. You got to watch out when you do that so you don't get run into. Meanwhile, Valenteus from last to first. It took him almost literally the entire race to make it happen. But with that last lap or almost last lap pass, he is up to the top spot and cannot be denied as the number 1 car will finish P1 with victory for Valenteus in the GTOs.
Fantastic. We'll see Roberts will get the P2. Ove Tranger will get the P3, and there was a last-ditch effort there for Lundberg to get past Rodriguez. We'll see him just now. It'll be a drag race. Cannot make it. He manages to hold on to this. Great performance from Rodriguez. Not so good for Lundberg. He's going to feel, after starting P2, he could have had something. But Schuster, with that damage, will come home in 6th. What's interesting, right behind is Van Hixie. Even with that drive-through, Joe, he gets a 7th. That is still going to put him ahead in the championship, I think.
Oof, that was a critical drive from him for sure. Which brings us to our results. And Jacob Reed not only won, but he won with just enough fuel left. He said that iRacing was giving him warnings at the end that he might not make it. It was tight. Matthias Hovdal came home P2 behind him. Dustin Hiroda will round out the podium as Cao Young was P4. Farron Grau only 5th today. Bit of a surprise on that one. Seamus Power 6th, Fabian Youngblood 7th, and Brennan Lim was 8th. And Dylan Freckleton, last of our drivers to finish on the lead lap in the GTPs, was P9. From there, drivers who unfortunately ran into trouble. Javier Del Olmo still gets a top 10. Laust Olsen 11th. Heitor Sintez Galindo was 12th. Ayus was P13, and then it's DNFs with Iamaki, Gaudin, and Schwebig rounding out your GTP field.
Just saw Noel Lundberg just do some drifting and crashing out, but Valenteus went from last to first in the GTOs to get a fantastic victory. Benjamin Roberts did get the fastest lap of the class, but unfortunately finishes in 2nd. Then Ove Trengere and JD Rodriguez started 3rd and 4th respectively, finished 3rd and 4th respectively, followed by Noel Lundberg dropping down to 5th with Andreas Schuster in 6th and Johan Hixie in 7th. They're the lap down. They all finished technically on the same lap as the lead GTO. Craig Trick as well, 8th. Doug Cloud will be 9th and Josh Brain will be 10th. When we get to the second page, Henry Sharman, we did see that fight with him and Roman Bello. It'll be 11th for Sharman and 12th for Bello. And in Haycox will get a 13th. And then Mickey Friesen. That's the big story we've not been talking about. Championship leader may lose the championship lead because of that race there. Rien Van Vuren will be 15th. And Michael Yankee, the only retiree of the race in the GTOs, finishes in 16th position.
Well, it was top split, and I'd say the racing we witnessed today was really representative of that. Just, man, what amazing battles we had out there. And more than that, it was all pretty fair and respectful. Yeah, it was a little elbows out once or twice, Craig, but they just put on a stunner for us.
And that is why they're the best at the best. We looked at it, a 4,444 strength of field in the GTPs, a 4,018 strength of field in the GTOs. They were the best of the best drivers out there. They know what to expect, and they have done this before. They understand the dance, and it's fantastic. We know Watkins Glen delivers, and this is the only incident of the day that was really worth talking about, apart from that moment with the GTPs, with the leaders, that happened. It's very interesting because now they've got past the 60-minute races. They've gone past the fast races. They're at VIR next week, Joe. That is going to be almost a similar race when it comes to waiting for an opportunity to make a move, because you've got the same long straight, just at the back straight.
Exactly. And that front straightaway really offers opportunities as well. Yeah, saw a few problems early on, but after that, drivers did very well to keep this one pretty clean in what is known as a chaotic series here in IMSA Vintage. So great heads up by everyone to give us a good show today. VIR, maybe a few more slower corners, that is for sure. But it's going to be a challenge with how fast it is. Fast on this track, but not fast enough was Matthias Hovdal. Matthias, congratulations on a podium regardless, but talk to us about that battle in the final 10 minutes. 4 cars with a shot at the win. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I knew based on my qualifying that everyone was really close on pace. So traffic was a really big factor, like it always is here. I thought I was going to have a bit of a gap after the pit stop, but I got a little unlucky in the S's a couple of times, and it basically went away to the point where the other guys got on the toe. And at that point, anyone can win, basically. And I thought, even coming through the last corner there, that was going to change things up. So, yeah, it's just a typical Camel traffic race.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about that a little bit, because it looked like at the end you guys were having to make I wouldn't say crazy moves, but some very aggressive attempts at trying to overtake some of those GTOs. Are there going to be some apologies and conversations afterwards with people considering what you had to go through?
Yeah, I think I can go ahead and issue a general apology, because I definitely made a couple of moves there that were putting the Audi in a very difficult position. So sorry to those that were affected by that. But yeah, it's such a close battle. I felt like I really had to try, But yeah, I know it sucks to be on the receiving end of those moves. So sorry to anyone that that had to yield.
Well, you guys came out clean at the end of that. Next time out, we had mentioned just a bit ago that we're heading off to VIR. What are your feelings at that track? Another very fast one, just a little bit more technical, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a fun track. Very technical, and also has a lot of fast stuff. So I'm definitely gonna try to do that race if I can find the time. It's one of my definite favorite tracks. So.
Well, we got you. Anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to the guys in that battle. Honestly, that was a really fun race. It was exciting until the very last corner. So thanks to those guys for driving clean, driving fair, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, that was our second place finisher, Matthias Hovdal, here P2 today after starting from 5th. Certainly had to work a little bit for that one. Looks like nobody else has recovered yet from that fight to be able to talk to us. A bit of a shame. We would have loved to have heard from them. But before we go, we want to mention one more time that you've got a special deal coming your way if you want to renew your iRacing subscription. Black Friday is back once again from now until December 2nd. If you are not a member yet, you get 50% off a year or 2 years. Or if you've already got one, 25% off. That's a really good deal. Much like we heard from Craig, I've already taken care of mine. I always try and snatch this deal up. It's your best opportunity all year long. So take advantage of it now and go to iRacing.com/Black Friday to get a hold of that. Thanks to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage here at IMSA Vintage. And also thanks to the team today, Craig, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. VIR will be Saturday, November 23rd, a week from now at noon Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here in the meantime. Because until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.